So we don't know exactly what case counts will be into January in King County and in the US, but I'm certain it will be the highest case counts we've seen throughout the pandemic.
The Washington Department of Health sounding the alarm today about new cases of the Omicron variant rising rapidly across our state, and many others saying the worst could be yet to come. In several months, researchers say we could see the highly infectious Delta and Omicron variants co-circulating together. DOH is also warning Washingtonians to avoid crowded indoor spaces and large gatherings to help slow the spread, but there is no mandate in place just yet. Meantime, indoor school sports in Washington will immediately see tightened COVID safety measures at all games and practices.
And this comes as there are now 200 COVID-19 infections linked to high school wrestling tournaments in our state. The Department of Health says at least 3 Omicron variant cases were detected in that outbreak.
Fox 13 News reporter Frankie Thompson is live in Renton after speaking with WIAA about these sudden changes. Frankie.
Aliana, athletes, coaches, trainers, and support staff will all have to take COVID tests 3 times a week, starting immediately. We are outside of the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association in Renton. The executive director here says these new rules are going to be a big challenge for schools already struggling with short staff.
Have to go backwards to put more restrictions on our students and more work on our schools is not a place any of us want to be.
More restrictions to protect student athletes and staff is what it has to come down to. The Department of Health is now requiring all athletes in high-contact sports to test for COVID 3 times per week, including a test at least 24 hours before competition.
The bigger question is the workload on our staffs to administer all those tests. And not that it's hard, but it takes time.
The updated rules come after DOH says 200 COVID cases are now connected to wrestling tournaments from earlier this month. It's requiring school districts to make immediate change to their safety measures.
It is a big shift, and it's going to be incredibly impactful, not only to our programs, but across the state in terms of it's really ramping up the amount of tests that we're doing every week and finding the personnel that can help support the testing process.
Danny Mundell is the athletic director for Everett School District. She says their department proactively started making changes to their safety measures in anticipation of the state tightening the rules.
We don't want to be in a position where an announcement like this and then we're scrambling to try and set things up and potentially canceling games or practices. We wanted to be able to continue as normal.
Before DOH updated the safety measures, WIAA's executive director says only unvaccinated students were required to take COVID tests twice a week. He says that was about 40,000 kids statewide in sports like wrestling, basketball, and competitive cheer.
So you're talking, 3 times a week, 120,000 tests roughly, that you have to distribute to all corners and small pockets of Washington. And so it requires our schools, it takes time. They got to be organized and order that.
Coaches, trainers, and support staff will also have to follow the new testing rules. Public Health Seattle and King County says these measures should be adopted in all schools as the Omicron variant spreads at an alarming rate.
Masking in schools, vaccination of all eligible students and faculty, really important. It's the same risk reduction measures, but really you want to make sure people are very compulsive about adhering to them to the greatest extent possible.
Mundell says if it means keeping kids safe and keeping games and practices open, they're ready.
We just want to see our kids playing. We want to see our kids competing. We want to see them participating in any sports clubs, activities, things where kids are staying connected and interacting healthy ways with other kids.
WIAA Executive Director says DOH confirmed to him that there is funding available to help support the extra testing and any additional resources. Reporting live in Renton, Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.